How can I track if a quote gets clicked? Well, we learned a couple of methods to react to that. I'll use the one where I go to quote grid, and here I do have my app quote. Now if I add click like this on my own component, that will not work. But what I can do is I can add the native modifier. What the native modifier does is it tells Vue.js, well, react to a click on that component if it happens on the native element of this component. So it will basically register a click here on the div, which in the end is what sits in the HTML code. But since we add the native native modifier here, it knows, yeah, even though that happened on the HTML code of that component, treat it like I clicked on app quote here, which I can't because that is not appended to the DOM, only the code and the template is appended to the DOM. So this allows me to click on a component as it will treat clicks on the template as clicks on the component. And I can therefore execute the delete quote method. Now to delete the quote, I need to add my methods here, an object where I add delete quote. And now how do I determine which quote to delete? I need the index of that quote to delete the right one from the array. To get the index, I'll go to my v-for loop, and we learned that we can extract more than just the element. The second argument would be the current index. And if we loop through an array, the index is of course exactly what I need to delete an array, to delete an element from the same array. Therefore, I can here pass index to the delete quote method. I get the index here too, therefore. And hence I can use this to now also emit my own event. And when I emit this event, let's give it a name of quote deleted, I pass the index as an argument. Now with that I can go to the app view file where I use this grid, and in there I simply want to listen to this. So here I can listen to my own event, the quote deleted event, and execute delete quote here too. The fact that I named this delete quote here in the app.view file and in the quote grid is totally irrelevant. The naming could be different, because in the quote grid I execute this delete quote method, and in the app.view file I delete the method I'm going to create now. So here I'm also going to create a delete quote method where I get the index as an argument. I'm not passing it here because again Vue.js will do that for me, just as it did for quote added, where it also passed the content for me. And then down there in delete quote, I simply want to access my quotes array, use the splice method, start splicing at the position of the index, and then splice one element to modify the existing array and simply remove one element from it. Now with this I'm able to delete the quotes, as we should see once I add a new one, click on it, it's gone. So this works fine. Lastly, let's add the functionality to track the number, to give us a warning if we want to add more than 10 and to show the progress bar.